A father suffering from mental illness takes his two children to a cabin in the middle of nowhere with the intention of killing them. However, a mysterious creature appears and kills him instead, leaving the girls all alone. Miraculously, they are taken care of by a wraith of an old mother who has been dead for over 100 years. When they are eventually discovered in the present day, the ghost becomes jealous as she desires them to be her own children. The following recap is what unfolds in the 2013 supernatural horror thriller film titled Mama. Jeffrey Desange, a senior stockbroker, is so devastated by a stock market collapse that he kills his business partners, employees, and estranged wife. He then leaves with his two young daughters, 3-year-old Victoria and 1-year-old Lily, and drives recklessly in the snow. When Victoria begs him to slow down, he yells at her to be quiet, loses control of the car, and crashes into the woods. They survive and find an abandoned cabin for refuge. Overcome with regret, Jeffrey plans to kill himself and his daughters. As he points a gun at Victoria's head, a shadowy figure snaps his neck and drags him out of the cabin. The two girls sit by the fireplace, unaware of what is happening, as a mysterious figure lurking in the dark rolls a cherry over to them. 5 years later, Lucas Desange and his girlfriend, Annabelle, have used all of his brother's inheritance to fund a search mission for his lost twin brother and nieces. They follow a lead and eventually find the location of a car crash, discovering a cabin nearby. To their surprise, they find the two girls alive inside, but they have taken on animalistic behaviors, with Victoria guarding Lily in a protective stance. For months, the children have been at a welfare clinic under the care of Dr. Gerald Dreyfus. Lucas and Annabelle are in a legal dispute with Jean, the maternal great-aunt, over custody. The court raises concerns about their ability to raise the children in a small apartment with limited income and the children's special needs. Dr. Dreyfus is intrigued by his young patient's drawings of a mysterious character they call Mama, and he knows he won't be able to track their progress if their aunt gets custody. He therefore supports Lucas and Annabelle in court as the legal guardians, as long as they move to a rent-free special residence for research purposes. During a hypnosis therapy session with Victoria, Dr. Dreyfus delves into his research of the girls and engages her in a discussion about Mama. He initially assumes Mama is a figment of Victoria's imagination, but he comes to learn that she was an institutionalized patient from the 19th century who escaped. On the run, she stabbed a nun holding her infant and fled into the woods with the baby. As authorities chased her, she found herself at the edge of a cliff by the lake and, seeing no other way out, jumped off and tragically hit a tree branch on the way down. The baby was killed by the impact and became entangled in the tree trunk after hitting the water. The baby was later recovered by those pursuing her. Dr. Dreyfus drives the kids to their new home and his curiosity leads him to a public records center. He discovers the name Edith Brennan, an asylum patient from 1878, and her record confirms Victoria's story of Mama being a ghostly entity separated from her child. The story of Edith finally comes to light. Annabelle is startled when she spots a shadowy figure in their bedroom doorway one night. Lucas checks it out and suddenly finds himself pushed down the stairs by Mama, causing him to go into a coma. Annabelle is now left to look after the kids while Mama still visits. As time passes, Victoria starts to act more like an ordinary child while Lily remains animal-like. Annabelle is alarmed by her nightmares and visits Dr. Dreyfus. She tells him that someone is visiting the kids at night and singing them a lullaby. Dr. Dreyfus shows her a laptop recording of Victoria singing the lullaby, which Annabelle recognizes as the voice. He informs her that Victoria might be suffering from a dissociative personality disorder and taking on the role of Mama. Dr. Dreyfus returns to the public records archives to investigate further and discovers that when the government moved the cemetery 20 years ago, some of the oldest and smallest remains without any relatives were filed in the archives. He finds a box with a dead child's remains there. Lucas has a dream induced by his deceased brother while in the hospital. In the dream, he is told that his children need to be saved and is directed to a specific location in the woods. After waking up from the dream, he regains consciousness. Back at home, Annabelle feels a strong pull towards the children and quickly realizes that something is not right. Victoria warns her not to touch the kids, saying that Mama gets very jealous. Aunt Jean visits Annabelle and the kids and sees bruises on them. She becomes concerned and decides to alert social services, suspecting Annabelle of abuse. Annabelle calls Lucas to inform him about the situation, but their conversation does not go smoothly. Dr. Dreyfus visits the kids and has a hypnosis therapy session with Victoria. He asks about Mama and wants to know where she lives and if she came to the house with the children. Victoria replies that Mama has been living in the walls. Dr. Dreyfus asks her to open her eyes and shows her a photograph, inquiring if the woman in the image is Mama. Victoria begins panting quickly and shouting for Dr. Dreyfus to leave as Mama starts to appear on the walls. Dr. Dreyfus hastily leaves the room and gets into his car, only to see Mama standing at the window. That night, Annabelle's nightmares, instigated by Mama, continue to haunt her and reveal her traumatic past. Meanwhile, Dr. Dreyfus visits the cabin to investigate Mama's presence. As he explores with his torchlight, he spots a butterfly on the wall and hears eerie noises. Suddenly, his light cuts out, so he grabs his camera and snaps random photos in the dark. But Mama suddenly appears and attacks him, breaking his neck. Annabelle approaches Victoria while she eats breakfast and asks about their conversation with Dr. Dreyfus. She tries to call him, but the call goes straight to voicemail. She notices some research documents left behind in the office and decides to visit, only to find the receptionist crying and Dr. Dreyfus missing. She takes the children's case files and eventually discovers that Edith and Mama are the same people and that Mama has been searching for her lost child ever since, viewing Victoria and Lily as replacements for her own. Lucas sits with his sketchbook and pencil in hand, recreating the vision from his dream. Suddenly, he realizes that the sketch is not just a random image, but it's on an actual map. Despite being in the hospital and it being his last day, Lucas decides to take a risk and sneak out. He gets into a rented car and drives to the destination marked on the map, leading him deep into the woods. Back at home, Mama appears and gets angry, attacking Annabelle and the children as Victoria desperately protects Annabelle and pleads with Mama to stop, but Lily remains devoted to her. Mama then possesses Aunt Jean's body, who had broken into the house looking for evidence of abuse, and takes the kids away. When Annabelle wakes up, she grabs the box with Mama's child and heads to the woods, crossing paths with Lucas. She tells him she took the kids and they soon arrive at the cabin to find Jean dead. They search and see the children sitting on a cliff with Mama getting ready to repeat her suicide, taking Victoria and Lily with her over the edge. Racing towards the kids, Annabelle recalls the warning about ghosts trapped in a cycle of their own misfortunes and understands Mama's desire to take the children with her over the cliff. She calls Mama by name and presents the remains of her baby. The angry spirit suddenly regains its human form, but as they move away, Lily yells out to Mama, who then transforms back into her twisted form and attacks them again. She throws the child's remains aside and knocks Lucas out, grabbing both kids and walking towards the cliff's edge. Annabelle crawls forward desperately trying to stop Mama, but after a fierce struggle, she is overpowered and can only cling to Victoria, who chooses to stay with her and Lucas. Once at the edge of the cliff, Victoria tries to convince Lily not to go. Lily cries that they, along with Mama, should be together. Mama wraps herself and Lily in a cocoon and jumps off the cliff with Lily in her arms. Upon impact with the same branch as before, Mama and Lily transform into a shower of butterflies. Victoria embraces Annabelle and Lucas and notices a blue patterned butterfly on her hand, which she believes to be Lily. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel.